Edit. The number of replies that have misunderstood my point, or missed it entirely, is frankly astounding, so let's try this. I am well aware that knowing when water freezes and when it boils is critically important to everyday life for the vast majority of humans. I know this. I agree. Now, read the rest of the post with that in mind. I know I'm not the only one with this view, but I do think it's pretty rare. I'm not even going to bother arguing why metric imperial. The reasons are numerous, frequently discussed, and easily proven. The only reason the US imperial countries hold onto it is because they are used to it and have no mental intuition for metric sizes. But Fahrenheit Celsius? That's when things get juicy. First, the immediate reply literally every European I've ever talked to says upon hearing this is freezing and boiling are exactly 0°C and 100°C. To which I say, so what, literally when has that number ever come up in your everyday life? Because I sure as hell know 32F and 212F never come up in mine. Yeah, sure, we freeze and boil water all the time, but tell me, do you actually measure the ice to make sure it's below 0°C, or measure the boiling pot of water to make sure it's reaching 100°C? Fuck no, of course you don't. You just stick it in the freezer, which is significantly below 0°C, or set it on the stovetop, which is significantly above 100°C, and wait for it to freeze or boil. The actual number itself has absolutely nothing to do with anyone's life, save for the occasional calibration of specialized tools or obscure scientific studies which for some reason requires precisely that temperature. It's also useless relative to the rest of the metric system. You can't convert it from one unit to another like you can with others, which is the biggest advantage SI has over imperial. For example, 1 liter is equivalent in volume to a cube of 10 cubic centimeters, whereas 1 gallon is /Google's 291 cubic inches. However, Kelvin, and by extension Celsius, is defined using an equation based on a fundamental constant which could just as easily be applied to Fahrenheit and is basically impossible to convert to any other unit without a calculator. 1 degree Celsius is no longer equal to 1 m3 of water heated by 1 joules or whatever it used to be, and even that was cumbersome to work with since the joules is practically never used in day-to-day life. And yes, Fahrenheit has an equivalent scale where 0 equals absolute 0 like Kelvin. It's called ranking, it's just the scientific community insists on using the inferior Celsius for everything, therefore they use Kelvin. Okay, so Celsius clearly isn't any better than Fahrenheit, but then why is it worse than Fahrenheit? Well, think about when temperatures actually matter to the average person on an average day. Cooking, weather, or ambient interior temperature, and basically nothing else, right? Well, cooking the numbers are mostly all so high that it doesn't matter what scale you use, just so long as you get the number right. 300F or 300C, they're both instantly sear your skin levels of hot. But weather? Weather we talk about all the time, and that's when I shines. Because you see, I is the scale of the human experience, the range 0-100F is the range of temperatures a typical human in a typical climate can expect to see in a typical year. In the middle of a hot summer day, it might reach 100F, and in the middle of a freezing winter night, it might reach 0F. Any colder or hotter is simply ridiculous to experience. Yes, I know many places do go outside those temperatures, laughs in Floridian, but my point is going outside those bounds is when the temperature just becomes absurd. No matter how cool your clothing, you're gonna be hot at over 100F, and no matter how bundled up you are, you're gonna be cold at below 0F. Celsius meanwhile compresses all that into -17C to 37C, exactly half the range, and it's centered around weird numbers. Your thermostats use half degrees and winters almost always fall into the negatives. Hertber Americans cannot into numbers, fuck you, I just don't want to go around saying it's 32.5 degrees or it's -4 degrees all the damn time. Why would we use such a clunky method when you can just say it's 90 degrees or it's 25 degrees, and not only is that more straightforward, but you also instantly know that 90s are pretty dang hot but not dangerous levels, and 20s are cold but not unbearable with a good jacket. That's another thing, is that you can instantly tell roughly what the weather is like just from the tens place. It's in the 50s today is a narrow enough range that you know more or less how the day will be. 50 is a little cold and 59 is still a little cold, but both are pants and a light jacket weather. Meanwhile with Celsius saying it's in the 20s today could be anywhere from a bit chilly at 20C, 68F, and needing pants to fairly hot at 29C, 84F, and needing shorts and a t-shirt. I guarantee you other countries never go around saying it's in the 20s today, do you? Maybe you say low 20s, but we don't even need that distinction. Told, 99.9% of the time people discuss temperature is relative to the weather, so why the hell wouldn't we base our temperature scale around what the weather feels like? Cue the Europeans.